Hi, I'm EvoluGM and nope, that doesn't work with this thing over there. Hi, I'm EvoluGM and I really like Hollow Knight. That may or may not come as a surprise depending on how much of my content you've watched and my somewhat passion for Dark Souls. That may have come up occasionally. Obviously they're not exactly the same, but they certainly have some similarities. The dark atmosphere, the exploration, the difficult combat. Obviously one is cute little bug guys and a Metroidvania, and the other's much more classic fantasy, RPG style, but you probably see what I mean. I've certainly been enjoying it, and I'm very excited to be playing Silksong now. And it got me in the mood to try and think about what I could do with Hollow Knight in a TTRPG kind of sense. There is, in fact, a Hollow Knight TTRPG that I believe was fan-made that I have read through, but I've not actually played, so let me know in the comments if you'd like me to have a look at that. But I also wondered, well, maybe I could do a dungeon inspired by Hollow Knight, keep it a bit simpler and do something a little bit more like a 5-room dungeon or something, not a full-scale one like I'm trying to do for Dark Souls, because I definitely don't have time for that. But I've also been playing Hollow Knight Silksong, which has taken up quite a bit of my time, so we're doing something a little bit more simple for this week. I'm also going away next week, so time has been somewhat limited. One of the main features of Hollow Knight is that you have a number of charms. You have notches on the knight, and you can equip these charms into these notches to give yourself different powers and abilities, essentially. Some of them are kind of utility, some of them are defensive, offensive, support, things like that. There's a whole bunch of them. Some of them have unique combinations. They're very cool. And I thought, well, which of these could we easily port over into Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster? How many of them you can literally just drop into the game and they'll work fine? How many need a little bit of changing? And how many would you need to maybe add a couple of extra mechanics to make them properly work? So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to do another video down the line, if this one does reasonably, about how we actually implement these mechanics properly. This is just going to be more on vibes, so a little bit rambly. You'll have to forgive me for that. Purely just a time kind of situation there. But if that sounds interesting, please like and subscribe. I don't have my notes up. It's a bit of an oversight for me. Let's get started with the Wayward Compass. This whispers its location to the bearer whenever a map is open, allowing wanderers to pinpoint their current location. It costs you 1 notch. So this is going to fit into our first of 3 categories, because I do believe you can pretty much fit all of these into Pathfinder somehow, or, you know, your preferred TTRPG system, but presently I'm talking Pathfinder because that's what I'm mostly familiar with at the moment. When you open when you open a map, you appear on the map. Yeah, you can do that. Easy peasy. Makes sense, works out. Pretty cool, definitely be useful. I don't think I've actually had my players use maps that many times in my TTRPGs, so that's certainly something to consider, but that's an easy fix. Gathering Swarm we have next, and this fits into our second category of probably needs to be a little bit altered. A swarm will follow the bear around and gather up loose geo. That's the currency in Hollow Knight. It's useful for those who can't bear to leave anything behind, no matter how insignificant. I certainly know some players like that. This could be useful for situations where potentially you've, I don't know, Spartan kicked someone off a ledge and they've fallen 30 feet, or more realistically 100 or something, and you don't have the time to go and get them back. Maybe you could get the swarm to go and grab the little pieces of money for their corpse if you really wanted to. I know there's certainly been situations in Hollow Knight where it's useful if you're running through an area and you're killing things quickly and you don't have to stop to go back and grab stuff by stepping on it, or if someone or one of the bugs falls into a pit of spikes, and obviously you can't go in the spikes yourself, but the gear will come to you. Whether this could be upgraded to include weapons, armor, other items, maybe, but as a base level kind of thing, I think you could definitely use it. Maybe you'd choose to use it instead of doing it yourself, instead of it happening every single time, to make it a little bit easier on the GM or something. It's also 1 notch. Stalwart Shell we have next, which is 2 notches. This builds resilience, and when recovering from damage, the bearer will remain invulnerable for longer. It makes it easier to escape from dangerous situations. There's certainly a way of doing this though. When you are hit by an attack in Hollow Knight, you have a very brief moment where you can't be hit again, so you can't be spam killed in like a second. 2 seconds? Probably. But a second? No. This gives you a little bit more leeway of getting out of a dangerous attack, or a kind of a gank squad of multiple enemies hitting you all at once, giving you a little bit longer to try and evade and reposition and fight back. There's definitely a way that we can implement this. Full-on invulnerability, I'm not so sure about. However, Instead, maybe we'd give you some degree of resistance to certain damage types. Maybe all damage types, but that might be a bit strong. But at the very least, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for the next attack to hit you after you take damage. And that resistance would scale with your level or something like that to make sure it still is reasonable. This is also for 2 notches. After this, we have the Soul Catcher, which is another 2-notch one, and this is our first that probably needs a conversion. It's used by shamans to draw more soul from the world around them, and increases the amount of soul gained when you strike an enemy with your nail. This is kind of how the combat of Hollow Knight works. Is you hit enemies, which gives you soul. You can then use that soul to regain your health or to cast spells. We don't have soul, we have different ways of casting spells, so we'd probably need to add this kind of mechanic in here in order to make this work properly, I think. But easy enough to do, although maybe a bit more bookkeeping once you did it. So you'd have to maybe implement it in a slightly different way, maybe something to do with defeating enemies rather than just damaging them, but still possible for sure. The Shaman Stone and Soul Eater are going to be in a similar boat. They cost 3 and 4 notches respectively due to their considerable power. The Shaman Stone is said to contain the knowledge of past generations of shaman, and it increases the power of spells and deals more damage. Obviously there's ways to make your spells do more damage, but that feels like a more general thing, and this is specifically talking about these soul-based magics. So whilst you could definitely make this in a way that would work with just increasing spell damage, I feel like, again, it's more specific to the soul kind of spellcasting. And Soul Eater is just a more powerful version of the Soul Catcher. It greatly increases the amount of soul gained when striking an enemy now. It's very cool, and I think you can put on both, and that will be a lot of your slots to just have a massive amount of soul accumulating when you hit a foe. Next we have the Dashmaster, or the Dashmaster, which looks quite a bit like Sans from Undertale. It bears the likeness of an eccentric bug known only as the Dashmaster. The bear will be able to dash more often as well as dash downwards, perfect for those who want to move around as quickly as possible. This is 2 notches and quite useful, obviously because it's on a 2D plane, so you can only go left, right, up and down. Being able to actually dash down means you can move and dodge faster, so that's quite useful if you're trying to duck out the way projectiles or potentially flying enemies that are overhead. Obviously that's less of a thing in Pathfinder 2nd edition. Maybe this would give you a free action to step on your turn or something, and potentially you could step down as well. So if you're like on a ledge and you just wanted to step down to like 5 feet below yourself, like a minor jump, it would allow you to do that. Or maybe step into difficult terrain as well, though lots of things already do have that option for you. But that one definitely feels more like a slight alteration, but certainly possible. That's 2 notches. Sprint Master is 1 notch. It makes you move faster. Yeah, easy thing. Up your speed by like 5 feet probably. Good, done. Next we have Grub Song, which contains the gratitude of freed grubs. Grubs, these little cute caterpillar-like guys that you free throughout the world, and get rewards for doing so. This one you get after freeing 10 grubs. Maybe you could have a quest in order to free grubs that would, link in with this. And it allows you to gain soul when taking damage, which is pretty cool. Again, if you incorporate this with the other ones that give you soul above, you've got quite a lot of ways of getting soul back. This is something that needs a conversion because it's soul again. The Grubberfly's Elegy, however, contains the gratitude of grubs who will move to the next stage of their lives. Imbues weapons with holy strength. When the bearer is at full health, they will fire beams of white energy from their nail. I forgot to say at the start, spoilers for Hollow Knight potentially. Nothing huge, but a couple of things might come up. Like here, yeah, when you get all of the grubs saved, the Grubberfly, the Grubfather even kind of consumes them in order to make them into Grubberflies. That's how that works, and he gives you this. This is one which is probably needs an alteration. You could do something with radiant damage out to like a emanation of like maybe 10 feet or something when you make a weapon melee attack, something like that. Definitely workable in a way. The next 6 all kind of come under the same umbrella, which is heart, greed, and strength. They both have 2 forms, the fragile and the unbreakable. The fragile, if you are killed, will break. I don't remember if you can fix them or not. I feel like you maybe can, maybe divide them again, but maybe you can't. But after a certain while you can visit Divine, who can, in a very not weird way, make them unbreakable, and then they're like the other charms they can't break. Heart increases your health. Yeah, that's an easy implementation. Greed increases the amount of geo you get from defeating enemies. That's still, yes, an easy implementation. It does how exactly do it, the amount and all that kind of stuff we have to calculate from what is in Hollow Knight to here. Maybe when you just go to pick up someone's gold from their purse, suddenly there's more in your hand than if you grabbed initially. Fun little magic kind of effect like that. And strength increases the damage you deal, which again, don't know how it calculated just yet, but another easy implementation. Heart and greed are both 2 notches, and strength is 3, which makes sense. Elegy was also 3. Then we have the Spell Twister. Spell Twister is another one that will be a conversion. It's 2 notches, and it means you spend less soul to cast spells. You can cast more spells with the amount of soul you've got. You can see why. After this we have Steady Body for 1 notch. This allows you to keep steady when attacking. It keeps the bear from recoiling backwards when they strike an enemy with the nail. In Hollow Knight, when you hit enemies, they get pushed back a little and you get pushed back a little, so you kind of bounce off each other. This prevents you from moving, which I don't think you can do directly. This is certainly a more of probably conversion, change you into being able to not be pushed back by effects potentially, kind of like how Blade Break works. Not able to be shoved or repositioned as easily or something like that. Heavy Blow is formed on the nails of fallen warriors and increases the force of your nail, causing enemies to recoil further when hit. Your nail is your sword, essentially, of course, in case you weren't sure. This is 2 notches, and yeah, again, probably just slight alteration for this one as well, because what does that mean? How do you push enemies back just with a hit? Probably be a shove check or something similar. We'd probably need to alter it. Maybe not full on conversion, but you'd have to see. Quick Slash is born from the imperfect discarded nails that are fused together. The nails too long to be wielded. The nails still long to be wielded, and it allows you to slash much more rapidly with the nail, which gives you much faster attacking power. This one is one which is 3 notches because it is pretty powerful, and another one that we can definitely just implement has been like giving you essentially like the fighter feat, which allows you to make 2 attacks and multiple attack without multiple attack penalty for 1 action. That's for 2 actions actually, isn't it? So maybe it'd be 2 attacks for 1 action, more like the flow kind of ranger, something like that. An extra attack for 3 action essentially, or something similar like that. Long Nail increases the range of your strikes, and Mark of Pride is freely given by the Mantis tribe. It's one of the very cool boss fights, the Mantis Lords, and that increases it even further, which just increases your range of attack, which is very useful in a 2D game, and again, slightly less directly useful in a game like Pathfinder. So these are definitely going to be alters, 2 and 3 notches respectively. Do you just extend the weapon? Because there are ways with certain weapon runes to make weapons extend anyway, which I have to figure out exactly how this would work. Thorns of Agony senses the pain of its bearer and lashes out at the world around them. When you take damage, you sprout thorny vines that damage nearby foes. It requires another item to be able to use a cloak, and it costs you 1 notch. It's an easy enough one to do. We can definitely use it, and I'm pretty sure there's already like a Cloak of Thorns or something in Pathfinder. I found one of my players found one in Abomination Vaults that does this exact thing, or maybe they didn't find it but they had a character with it, that you can use a reaction when enemies attack in melee to like damage them with the thorns. The Boulder Shell protects its bearer with a hard shell while focusing soul. The shell is non-destructible and will shatter if it absorbs too much damage. This is 2 notches, and it's another one which probably needs a little bit of altering. Obviously, there's no soul focusing, but soul focusing tends to be for healing. Maybe there's some way that, if you choose to heal on your turn with your own healing potion, or maybe if you get healed, you gain again that a little resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, but it's maybe for till the end of to the start of your next turn or something like that, rather than just against the next attack. But the damage is a little less, or there's a limit of how many times it triggers per day, something like that, because it does have to break. Definitely, usable just needs a bit of workshopping, I think. Fluke Nest is a weird one. It's a living charm born in the gut of a fluke mom. Transforms the Vengeful Spirit spell into a horde of volatile baby flukes. This is 3 notches. It's quite powerful. It's a conversion. We don't have the Vengeful Spirit as a spell, so we can't exactly make this one work without that, I don't think. Defender's Crest after this is a unique charm bestowed by the King of Hallanest to his most loyal knight, scratched and dirty but still cared for. Causes the bearer to emit a heroic odour. It shows a damage around you to enemies over time, so when you're really close to an enemy, they take a little bit of tick damage. One notch, easily implementable, slightly hard to kind of track maybe. If it's just like one poison damage around or something, it might just be a bit annoying to deal with, but definitely manageable. The glowing womb drains the soul of its bearer to birth hatchlings, which have no desire to eat or live and will sacrifice themselves to protect their parent. It's 2 notches, requires crystal heart, which is another item that's relevant largely for us. But yeah, maybe you could drain your hit points or something like that to create these little summons that will just go and attack and then die, but it would just keep draining them because hit points and soul are not the same thing. So it's something you could technically add, but it probably is more of a conversion situation. Quick Focus is a charm containing a crystal lens. It increases the speed of focusing soul, allowing the bearer to heal damage faster. This is 3 notches and is another alteration kind of thing. I don't know how exactly to make you heal faster, maybe being outside of combat, changing that time from 10 minutes down to 5 or something, and not really being as much of an in-combat thing. Similar to Deep Focus, which is 4 notches, naturally formed within a crystal over a long period. It draws in soul from the surrounding air. The bearer will focus soul at a slow rate, but the healing effect will double. Now there is already a way to increase healing if you spend longer on it in Pathfinder, but maybe this would increase that initial step to 20 minutes, but then double the healing or something, which if you got a crit would be potentially very powerful. So again, this might not necessarily be the most balanced thing in the world, but there we are. After these we get into our lifeblood charms, which essentially are like little blue masks over the end of your normal white ones, and these are like temporary hit points. You can gain them, but once you lose them you can't heal them back, so they give you an initial buffer. Lifeblood Heart is 2 notches and it contains a living core that seeps precious lifeblood. When resting, the bearer will gain a coating of lifeblood that protects from a modest amount of damage. I think it gives you like 2 lifeblood cores, but yeah, easily implementable. It gives you more, it gives you a little bit of temporary hit points each time you rest. Lifeblood Core contains a living core that bleeds precious lifeblood. When resting, it gives you a coating from a large amount of damage. It's 3 notches, it gives you a little bit more temporary hit points. Maybe that's like 5. And then Joni's Blessing is blessed by Joni, the kindly heretic. Transfigures vital fluids into blue lifeblood. This is 4 notches. The bearer will have a healthier shell and can take more damage, but they will not be able to heal themselves, fixing soul. So this gives you quite a lot more hit points, but you can't heal any of them back. So you need to try and be using the hit points less. But it does mean you can use your soul for other things like casting spells. Now, Hive Blood is a golden nugget of the hive's precious hardened nectar and heals the bearer's wounds over time, allowing them to regain health without focusing soul. This is another quite powerful one. It is another 4-notch one, and it's another one that, unlike the previous 3, because for Joni's Blessing we didn't decide actually say what we do. You can just have a bunch of hit points. You just, like, double your hit points or something, maybe not double, but you get a whole bunch more hit points, but you can't heal them. It's only when you perform a long rest that they would come back or something like that. Hive Blood, yeah, you just heal a little bit over time. Probably requires an alteration because, yeah, how would that work, you know? Is it just on the hour or something? But in theory, that is absolutely fine. Spore Shroom is composed of living fungal matter. Scatters spores when exposed to soul. When you focus soul, it emits a spore cloud that slowly damages enemies. So it's similar to the Defender's Crest up above, and in fact the two do combine to create a slightly different effect, but it only does it when you focus soul. And as such, yeah, it will need at least a bit of an alteration because we don't focus soul. Again, maybe it's when you drink the health potion or heal yourself, you release this burst or something like that. But if we were to add soul, that'd certainly make it make more sense. Sharp Shadow contains a forbidden spell that transforms shadows into deadly weapons. And when you use your Shadow Dash ability, which requires the Shade Cloak, the bearer's body will sharpen and damage enemies. We didn't have that kind of effect really, apart from maybe Tumble Through in Pathfinder and a couple of other specific abilities. So maybe this is something that would give you proficiency, or not proficiency, but a good modifier for Tumble Through in the first place, and also make it deal some damage. Otherwise it would need a conversion. It's 2 notches. Shape of Un is another 2-notch one. It reveals the form of Un within the bearer. While focusing soul, the bearer will take on a new shape and can move freely to avoid enemies. Surprise is tier to get to. That's fine. Again, it's largely irrelevant unless we do make this into a dungeon. Maybe this would allow you and your ally, maybe if you cast a healing spell, to be able to still step or move a little bit whilst they get healed. Again, when you're not in a 2D Metroidvania kind of thing. Not quite as useful as potentially in Pathfinder, but probably some utility in there somewhere, being able to heal and move and the same actions. Nailmaster's Glory comes next, and this contains the passion, skill, and regrets of a Nailmaster, like a Swordmaster. It increases the bearer's mastery of nail arts, allowing them to focus their power faster and unleash nail arts sooner. It's one notch, it just means you can charge these nail arts quicker and then release them quicker as well. It's pretty cool, pretty useful if you're using the nail arts. Again, what are they? We don't really have them, apart from maybe they're similar to some fighter feats and stuff like that, or martial feats in general, so this is probably the conversion one, because you need to add nail arts, whatever they are. Next, we have Weaver's Song, which is a silken charm containing a song of farewell, left by the weavers who departed Harrow Nest for their old home. Was this Farloom? Maybe. It seems to certainly have some implications in Silksong, which has been very interesting. This is 2 notches. It summons weaverlings to give the lonely bearer some companionship and protection. So yeah, we can implement this. You just have to create a little stat block for the little guys that appear and would help you fight. More things to keep track of course, but apart from that, easy enough to do. Nearly there now. The Dream Wielder is one of our 2 kind of dream based elements, charms, notches. Dream Wielder is a transient charm created by those who wield the Dream Nail and collect essence. It allows the bearer to charge the Dream Nail faster and collect more soul when striking foes. It's 1 notch. The Dream Nail is a specific nail you get which allows you to both invade certain creatures' dreams to kind of learn more about them, and also just learn what lots of creatures are thinking in their head. It's very interesting to getting more ideas out of people and stuff, because the night can't really communicate. So this is kind of how you learn more information, unlike Horn, who can actually kind of talk to people. Yeah, again, it involves soul, so it's probably another conversion one. The Dream Shield, however, is a defensive charm once wielded by a tribe that could shape dreams, which maybe was the Moths. It conjures a shield that follows the bearer and attempts to protect them. Dream Shield is 3 notches, it's easy enough to implement. It's a floating shield that flies around you and maybe raises it by itself. These things already exist, so easy enough to do. Grim Child is next. It's worn by those who take part in the Grim Troops ritual. The bear must seek the Grimkin and collect their flames. Uncollected flames will appear on the bearer's map. So this is definitely another thing which gives you kind of a side quest to do. Gives you this ability to kind of level up this Grim Child, and eventually they become a summon as well. It's 2 notches. Again, yes, we can do it. It's a stat block. Carefree Melody is taken commemorating the start of a friendship, commemorating the start of a friendship, and it contains a song of protection that may defend the bearer from damage. 3 notches because it's a chance to just negate damage, which is pretty cool, and yeah, we can implement that. It's just figuring out how it works. And we're pretty much here now. This is our 1 5-notch charm, King Soul. The holy charm symbolizing a union between higher beings. The bearer will slowly absorb limitless soul contained within. Opens the way to the birthplace. It's a key, so again, maybe you'd get this near the end of the dungeon, and it unlocks the final kind of chamber. It also comes in 2 halves you have to connect, and it gives you unlimited soul, so again, you need a kind of conversion for that. And it does eventually become the Void Heart, which is an emptiness that was hidden within, now unconstrained. Unifies the void under the bearer's will. This charm is part of the bearer and cannot be equipped. So this isn't a charm you can equip. If you're doing a whole kind of deep dungeon delve thing, maybe this is something that just formed and attached to someone, or something like that. Again, need a conversion to make this one work. It's really like the other half of King Soul. And there we have it. That's all the charms. So yeah, quite a few that we can just plug and play pretty much into Pathfinder, I would say. A few that need some little bits of tweaking to make work in a different system and a not video game, and a few that would probably need to add a few mechanics to Pathfinder to make work. Any thoughts on this, please let me know down in the comments below. I am very much, throwing all this together because it seemed like a fun idea and I was in a Hollow Knight mood, but I've not had the most amount of time to kind of piece this all together in my head. So let me know what you think down below, and if there's any way you'd implement any of these charms into Pathfinder. I'll have another video out at some point in the future talking about making these into magic items, because I've not really talked about them much in Pathfinder in the past on this channel, and they are pretty fun and pretty cool, and I like how they work. But that's all for now. Thank you if you've made this far. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.